Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So starting next month in April, there are going to be a few different huge changes that's going to benefit most beneficiaries of Social Security. The biggest one, of course, is going to impact millions of Social Security beneficiaries, and it's going to include an increase of right around $500 per month on average, with some folks receiving well over $1,000 per month in each check that they are receiving. So we are going to be going over all those changes in today's video. But before we go ahead and dive into it for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into it for today. So once again, next month in April, we do have a few different big changes taking place that is going to be impacting most beneficiaries of Social Security. So we are going to be diving right into that first change that is going to be taking place. And this has to do with overpayments being sent out by the Social Security Administration. And in a lot of these cases, to be honest, it's not necessarily the fault of the beneficiary. So over the past months, over the past years, you might have been, without you really even knowing, been overpaid by the Social Security Administration. So for example, maybe you should have only been supposed to have been receiving $1,800 per month, but for whatever reason, the Social Security Administration has been paying you $2,000 per month. So they've been paying you $200 extra in each check that you've been receiving, and maybe this has been going on for years now. And just now, the SSA has noticed that, and because they have been paying you $200 extra in each check over the course of months or even years, they are now demanding all of that money back. And in some cases, they were demanding back like $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000 that they overpaid you by, perhaps without you even knowing. And they're saying in these letters that they are sending out, they have been sending these letters out over the past couple of years, and they're continually sending them out, that you do have to pay 100% of what they overpaid you by within 30 days. And if you don't, they are going to start collecting 100% of your benefit. Now, this was scaled back to 10% last year because a lot of people were running into issues where they were no longer able to pay off their mortgages or rent. They weren't able to pay for groceries because they were having 100% of their check withheld, and they rely completely on Social Security benefits. So by having 100% of their check withheld, they were pretty much tied, their hands behind their back. They weren't able to pay for anything. So obviously they had this big backlash. So they went from 100% back to 10%. Well, guess what? Starting in April, they are going to be boosting that back up to 100% of the check withheld. So according to CBS News, some Social Security recipients could soon find themselves in the crosshairs of a policy that advocates for seniors say could cause financial hardship for many older Americans. Starting today, which is going to impact most people, of course, in the month of April, the Social Security Administration will begin clawing back overpayments from the retirement program by taking 100% of a beneficiary's monthly check until the money is repaid, up from the prior rate of 10%. The policy will impact new cases of overpayment starting on March 27th. The benefits withholding rate for people who were overpaid before that date will remain at 10%. Now, the agency's 100% recovery rate was announced earlier this month by SSA Acting Commissioner Lee Dudek, who has worked with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, to cut costs at the agency by firing thousands of workers and closing field offices. Now, Dudek has described the 100% clawback rate as part of the agency's responsibility to recover overpaid funds, but advocates for older Americans say the policy will cause financial distress for many people, especially those who rely on the program for all or most of their income. Now, they say that if an overpayment is being made, that means the Social Security Administration is withholding 100% of their payment for however long it takes to repay the agency, and they are without money to pay for food or other living expenses benefits. That is what Dan Adcock said. Now leave your thoughts and comments below on that new policy. Are you for it? Are you against it? In my opinion, at least, they're going to realize this is a huge mistake within the first few months when they receive so much backlash from people no longer being able to pay for groceries or other things. Is really going to hurt them out, really going to hurt them economically speaking, because, guess what? A lot of people rely entirely on Social Security, and you strip that benefit away from them, and they're going to be in a lot of economic hardship. And once again, I think they're going to cut this back down to 10%. Now, if you do receive a letter and they start withholding 100% of your benefits, you can actually call into SSA and request that they scale that back down to 10% because you need Social Security benefits, or you can claim that, it wasn't your fault, that you weren't expecting to receive all this extra money. So with that said, I would definitely recommend calling into Social Security and saying that you cannot afford to have 100% of your benefits withheld, and they might end up actually scaling that back to 10% hopefully, or possibly even lower than that. Now, another big change that's going to start taking place in April is going to be impacting millions of Social Security beneficiaries. This is actually a good one because it's going to be increasing benefits by anywhere between $300 to $700 per month on average, with some folks receiving well over $1,000. This actually has to do with a bill that was signed into law by then President at the time, Joe Biden, earlier on this year, before he exited office. It was a bill that passed the House in November, then it passed the Senate in December, before being signed into law once again by Joe Biden. It was the Social Security Fairness Act, and repealed both the windfall elimination revision as well as the government pension offset. So if you were a public sector worker and therefore during your retirement years are receiving a pension, but also during your career, either before you got into your main public sector career or after, or even during, you also worked another job where you did contribute to Social Security and therefore became eligible to receive Social Security benefits, just because you were also receiving a pension, the Social Security benefit that you normally would have been eligible for actually ends up getting reduced unfairly simply because you're also receiving a pension. Now, because this bill was signed into law, the WEP as well as the GPO gets repealed. So now you are going to be receiving the normal Social Security benefit that you should have been receiving all along. Plus, you're going to be receiving retroactive benefits dating all the way back to January of last year in 2024. So you're going to be receiving all the months that you missed out on. This is very, very huge. Once again, you are going to be receiving an increase of right around $500 on average. So according to Newsweek, in January, two provisions, the windfall elimination revision and the government pension offset that reduced Social Security benefits for millions of workers, were repealed after bipartisan efforts in Congress. Signing the act into law, former President Joe Biden said it would boost Social Security by an average of $360 a month for more than 2.8 million recipients. Now, beginning in April, these boosted payments will be made for all relevant recipients. The Social Security Administration confirmed in a news release in February. Now, the WEP reduced Social Security benefits for individuals receiving pensions from public sector jobs, such as those held by state and federal employees that did not require Social Security payroll tax contributions. This reduction applied even if they contributed to Social Security through other employment and qualified for benefits. The GPO, on the other hand, reduced spousal or survivor benefits for retired federal, state, and local government workers who did not pay into Social Security funds through their payroll taxes. And the Social Security Fairness Act also required backdated payments to January 2023, actually 2024, they have a typo there, to be made to all recipients, and the SSA confirmed that these have already been paid. Now, if you have not been paid by April, you can contact the SSA to inquire about the status of your payment. So if you fall under this and you're impacted previously by the WEP or the GPO, you should have already received your retroactive payment, once again dating all the way back to January of last year. Now, the final change that's going to be taking place in April was actually delayed by a couple of weeks, and it has to do with a policy of calling into the Social Security Administration and changing your direct deposit method. And also, if you apply for benefits, that is something you can no longer do over the phone unless, of course, you receive SSI or SSDI. You can still call in and apply for benefits if you are applying for SSI or disability benefits. And also, if you're wanting to, once again, change your direct deposit method, if you're changing banks, let's say from Bank of America over to Chase, you can now no longer do that over the phone. You now have to do that all online or go into a field office, which for some people, if you prefer calling in and actually speaking to a human, it is going to be a little bit inconvenient for you. So according to CNBC, the Social Security Administration is adjusting the timeline in terms of its new identity proofing policies after receiving fierce criticism from advocates and beneficiaries. The agency on March 18th announced new requirements that would require more people to visit a Social Security office to claim benefits or change their direct deposit information if they are unable to put those changes through online. With those changes, the Social Security Administration was also putting through stronger identity proofing procedures with the aim of curbing benefit fraud. Now, the change was slated to go into effect on March 31st, an expedited 2-week timeline, which experts said was unprecedented. The agency announced on Wednesday, though, that it will move that effectiveness date back to April 14th. Now, when applying for retirement, survivor, or spousal/children's benefits, individuals should first attempt to do so through their online My Social Security account, and if unable to do so online, they must visit a Social Security office to prove their identity and review their application. To change their direct deposit information, Social Security beneficiaries should first attempt to do so through their online account, and if online changes are not possible, they can visit a local Social Security office or call the agency at 1-800-772-1213 to schedule an in-person appointment. And importantly, the agency has also adjusted the policy so that certain vulnerable individuals, those applying for Social Security disability insurance, Medicare, or supplemental security income who are not able to use the agency's personal online accounts will still be able to complete their claims entirely over the phone. So that is a good thing, at least if you are applying for SSI or SSDI benefits, you can still complete your application over the phone. However, those applying for Social Security retirement benefits, you now have to do that completely online or in person at a field office. And of course, also, once again, if you're wanting to change your direct deposit information, this is something you also have to do completely online as well. This is something they're saying is to prevent fraud, because there's been, I guess a lot of people calling into Social Security with the Social Security number of someone else and switching the bank account of that person over to their personal bank. So they're now receiving the payments of someone else for months on end, and it might take, a few months for that person to discover they aren't receiving Social Security benefits and they've been defrauded by someone else. So this is something they are saying is to prevent fraud, but leave your thoughts and comments below. Do you like these changes? Do you dislike these changes? What other changes would you like to see take place within the next year or so? Leave your thoughts and comments below, but that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.